They told me for years there was no money in podcasting. Well, they were all wrong.
I'm going to pick on Amazon a little bit here, or praise Amazon. There's people who know that AWS is a thing, but they don't realize that AWS controls like a third of the internet or something crazy, like all their hosting. That number could be way off. Fact check me. But, that's where they make the bulk of their money. So, but you see like a company like Facebook or Netflix. I think Amazon hosts Netflix. I could be wrong there too, but I think Facebook.
I believe they do.
Facebook has their own server environment.
Yes.
So for startups or any business, because AWS it's a great web service. And I think IBM's another one. There is a few more out there like Google and whatnot, but AWS is the big one. Now, do you advise certain types of companies to stick with AWS because they're reliable, or would you be like, hey, as you grow, it might be smart to go towards your own server environment? What are the kind of challenges of going down that road?
Do not get your own server environment. I have managed teams where we've had hundreds of people. We've had large numbers of servers, probably more than most of your audience will. I don't say that out of ego or arrogance. I'm a tech guy working at tech companies. This is what we do. There's a reason I use Amazon or Microsoft's version Azure or Google's Google Cloud Compute.
Mm-hmm.
They do things that I just don't want to deal with. Right? The fact that a hard drive fails somewhere, I remember 20 some years ago, I'd have servers. If a hard drive failed, someone had to go out and replace the hard drive. And hopefully I had enough redundancy that the hard drive failed, it wouldn't take things down. I never worry about a hard drive failing. I'm sure they do right now. Right now on my servers, a hard drive is failing, but I have no idea because Amazon has enough redundancy and Amazon has someone in that server room saying, oh, look, a failed hard drive, let me swap it out. And none of us know about it, and none of us have to care about it. So absolutely use some type of cloud service, whether a big one, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, or one of the smaller ones like, was it DreamHost? There's one with drops. It's like an ocean, DigitalOcean, I think is a smaller one. I forget who the smaller ones are, but big ones, small ones. I couldn't tell you, who's best for your needs, but
Right.
Use them. Don't reinvent the wheel.
No, that's a very good point. I mean, but then again, especially for like a media company, I'm going to use AWS example again because I'm trying to convince you to convince me not to go to our own server environment, where we want to completely own everything we do. I mean, literally everything. We don't want to be at the whims of an AWS. And yeah, we use AWS right now to host our media for this. Like this podcast, this audio file is being hosted on an AWS server that's being built into our RSS feed. Obviously, because, if say it took off, and we got like this one podcast got 1 million, 2 million downloads, we couldn't afford to literally host the audio. Like that's just a big fat bill. When you own your own server environment, or say like we say something that Amazon doesn't like, Amazon can just cut that cord, like you saw with Rumble. I think it was Rumble, like whatever that right wing platform was that was being hosted in AWS. They just cut the cord. So it's like, yeah, like we at APS want to do everything independent. Like we distribute our own feeds, we create our own content, like we do everything that we own. We want to own literally everything. And a server, it's like literally your backbone. Yes, it's more work, but if you're partnering with someone who knows what they're doing, that's a big help. And but if you're not, yeah, I highly suggest AWS at least when you're starting out. When you get too big, I think then's a good time to move over. Correct.
Let me ask you, are you planning to build your own microphones? Are you
One
planning
day
to write your own audio software?
Yes, one day, yes, 100%. Audio software, definitely, yes.
The reality is you have a certain competitive advantage. Your competitive advantage is not your microphone. No one's saying, ooh, I'm listening to this podcast because he has this amazing microphone no one else has, and that's why I listen to this podcast.
Right.
That's not your competitive advantage, right? So your competitive advantage is the great content you have. It's the fact that you can help people produce their own podcasts very quickly, efficiently, at low cost. That's your competitive advantage. The microphone doesn't really change that. The studio that you might record from, you might be recording from home, but if you rent a studio, a bad studio is going to ruin it, but a good studio isn't going to suddenly, alter that, right? The best you can do is the studio is just as good as others. So every business you ask, what's your competitive advantage? What's the thing you do that's better or unique or different than your competitors? And for most companies out there, The servers that you have, whether they're at Amazon or your own system or at Microsoft, that's not your competitive advantage. So what you want to do, use one of these cloud services. As you get bigger, if you really get that big, first you can negotiate with them. If
Right.
you're starting to be spending tens of thousands of dollars a month, hundreds of thousands a month, they'll negotiate prices. They're quite happy to do that. You can also leave at any time. They don't keep your data and say, we're cutting you off, but we keep all your data. It's yours.
Right.
So you, of course, would keep local backups. And you can say, you know what, we're going to switch and go to Google or Microsoft or build our own. But here's the thing that's really hard to do on your own. It used to be I had to figure out my server capacity. Okay, I think we need 10 servers. I'm going to order 10 servers. And they're going to take a couple of weeks to show up. I have to set them up. And if I think I'm going to need 20 servers, I have to figure out when I'm going to need that, and I have to buy them. If I buy them too late, now I'm not serving the needs of my customers, right? My servers are too slow. If I buy them too early, I have a bunch of servers sitting around. I wasted money I don't need. With Amazon or any of these services, I can literally say, you know what? I need more capacity. And literally 3 minutes later, I've doubled the number of servers I have.
Yeah.
Maybe I just need it for a certain day and I turn it back off. If I want to build a test environment, I can literally create the same test environment, but turn it on just for a few hours, test it, turn it off. If I need the same test environment and I'm doing my own system, I buy 20 servers for production, 20 more that sit there only for testing that I otherwise don't use. So there's a lot of overhead and effort that you don't have to deal with when you go to the cloud.